Hey, coach, has got a fantastic guest tonight. Coach Mitch Johnson is the head football coach at Northwood High School. Uh, Coach has started his own YouTube channel, and I kept catching episodes of his YouTube channel and did not realize that he was here in North Carolina and that we'd actually coach against each other, and that he had coached under Coach Metzger for many years, a good friend of mine and a fantastic coach. So he's coached underneath some Hall of Fame guys, even though he looks like he's 12. And he's a super impressive channel. I'm going to put the link in the comments after. He's going to teach mesh tonight. But I'm going to have the link to his YouTube channel in the comments so that you can go and watch it, because he's got fantastic stuff. Super impressive young coach. And buddy, I sure do appreciate you being here, man.
No, coach, it's a dream come true. I've watched your channel like during COVID, man. That's what I would do. I'd have it on and listen to it, especially the culture, a championship culture. And that's honestly what made my wife now. But that's what made us move back to back down here to south of North Carolina. Because it's just different up in Wisconsin. And so I was ready to get back to being able to do it year round and do it the right way. And so I appreciate everything you've done, and I've learned a lot from you. So thank you for everything.
Well, I've been watching your channel. I've been learning from you. So I appreciate you being here. And tonight you're going to talk mesh. And I always say, just coaches up like you're talking to your freshman quarterback, and teach us how to run this thing, man.
Yes, sir. So you want me to get started?
Yeah, jump in it.
All right. Yes, sir. So I'm going to share a screen, and I'm going to go just like Coach Salas said. I'm going to do it as if teaching freshman quarterback. So the first thing we teach is out of spread. So for us, it's 2x2. And I will warn everybody, our H-back is a 4-star going to NC State. That's what makes us run the power rate a little bit different than air rate, because we move him around a ton. But starting with him, when we're running mesh, is we have him make sure that he's within 5 yards of the tackle. So him and the Y, which is our speedy guy, we'll have them inside 5 yards inside the tackle. So a big thing that we talk about with our guys is the alignment. Our Z and our X will move in because they're going to run our 8 to 10 yard outs. So the first thing we do with them is that they're getting to 8, and then they're going to speed cut to 10, and they're looking to get straight down the line from there. And that is in our quarterback's read, that's our pre-snap read. So whatever side we like, that's where we'll set the running back. So right now, let's say that for some reason they're playing off of our Z, we're going to put the running back on the right side. So that's where he is right now. Now, going into the mesh, our H, especially because he's a big boy, all right, we want to set him, he's going to set the mesh at 6 yards or in front of the linebacker's feet. So whichever is closest. We're not going behind him, which you'll see. I mean, we had to learn the hard way a couple of times. But he's going to get to 6, and he's getting across. And that's how we first teach it. And then Y is going underneath and getting across. And what we do with our running back to help finish up the concept is he is running a swing. All right. So that is what and then our progression goes right here would go Z would be our 1. Then we're going down to the swing for 2, and our mesh is number 3, which I think is what confused a lot of people when they hear mesh. They think that that's the first thing you read. Well, for us is we want to read our outside receivers. We got great targets. And that 8 to 10 yard rhythm out, we practice that every day pretty much. And then on Wednesdays is when we run a lot of mesh. And so then our running back runs our swing, and we tell him to try and get as horizontal as possible to try and put some strain on the defense. And then the big one with our H and our Y, when we're talking about mesh, we struggled where our guys were getting a yard or 2 vertical instead of that 45-degree get to 6. And we were having to teach them, hey, your eyes need to be on those linebackers. At first, it was they just wanted to get to a point because they had never ran the spread, that we were a power I wing T. So they were getting up too vertical, which was kind of slowing down our mesh. They weren't, they were going behind the linebacker. So mesh is very expensive. You have to work it a lot. But we got them to do this, the 45-degree to 6 yards. These two are going to communicate based on what the linebacker's doing. So if this linebacker on the side with the Y, if he is chasing, this H is watching him, and he's going to tell the Y, go, 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 go. If he sits, then we're guessing that they're going to communicate with each other. They're both, the linebackers are sitting, we're going to tell them to sit. All right. And we're trying to get them shoulder pad to shoulder pad, trying to get them to clap hands, which everybody's heard about mesh. And what we actually teach our H, because he's a big boy, we actually want him to kind of do that basketball pick and rub. So he's going to go in front of that linebacker and kind of then start, going straight out. All right. But he's going to try and get in the eyes of that linebacker and picking him off. And then other guys going as fast as he can, right in front of his face. And that allows this guy to have a lot of explosive plays for us this year. And we also believe, because our H is very big, it does the linebackers collisioning on him is as much of an impact. And so he can get out there once he's done with his basketball rub, which is great, because if this linebacker now is picking up on this running back swing, that kind of little delayed action there with the rub is actually going to open up the H to be right here on the hash, and it makes it a nice, easy, clean throw for the quarterback and not a lot of traffic. And so right here, like I said, is on the right side, we'd be going 1, 2 to 3. So we actually know that this could possibly open up him even more, but because we like our leverage on with the Z on that corner, we're going to take that right side as our main read. Now, if we know that we like our chances with the X, then we'll set him, we'll set the running back on the left side, so that the quarterback always knows he has his 1 down to 2, and then that meshes that 3. And we run this a lot because, once again, H is our main kind of guy that we're trying to, get that rub and to open up our Y, which last year we had a 5'8" kid finish number 2 in the CFI showcases twice. So he was really shifty and could find his way. And then we had another kid in our playoff game that actually killed it with mesh, who's going to be our starting guy now, who's getting looks from a couple of D2 and FCS schools, like Mercer and stuff. So we're very excited about mesh. And so that's how we run it out of our 2x2. And then we will also do our early motion. So we'll do push and pull with our running back to get them out there even more. But that's the first way we install it. And then we try with our linemen to get 3-foot splits. And so I'm going to try and show a little bit of the pass pro that we would do and try to explain it to the best that I can here. So what we want to do is, if we get the 5, we want to, with our 5-3 side, we want to man that up. We want our quarterback to feel safe and secure. So if we're getting the 5-3, we're going to man that up. Now, here's where we then work with it, is we know the running back is not staying in. We want you to blitz. What we found this year was that if we kept our running back in, they would then use that linebacker that would either be playing man or dropping. They would try to blitz with them. So we've learned that if we keep our running back out, that means that we have 5 guys that could possibly catch the ball. So it helped us with not having to deal with so much blitz. But if they did, this running back would be wide open, or our quarterback knows that he's going to throw to his outs. Or our mesh guys are they're looking for the ball. But then what happens is we let these 3 take on 1, 2, and 3. So whether they're doing stunts or whatever, so like if they just show up how they're doing it now, we'll go 1, and then these 2 will take care, we'll take care of the 1 tech, but then he is also looking at it in case that linebacker goes. What we try to do is the quarterback is going to read the front side linebacker. So honestly, right here, my bad on this is we would then have the quarterback reading there, and we would go, I forgot where I had the running back at. He's going to kind of help, but his eyes are going to be looking for that linebacker, and then you got him. Our quarterback is going to be on this play side linebacker right here, for the reasons of, if he blitzes, he's responsible for him, and his eyes are already on the left side. Where if we were leaving his eyes on this right side, that would be where his back's at. So we try to keep that linebacker for the quarterback so that he can read that. Well, since what's great about that is he's already taken a look at this guy for the mesh. All right. So he's got, so if this linebacker blitzes, he knows that it's either going to be this Y is going to be wide open immediately once they get through the rub, or this linebacker here is dropping back and taking away Y, and now you have nobody on the running back unless that safety's playing down. So we love having our quarterback with his eyes on the concept side. It's the same thing if like we did trips and we did stick. So that's our pass pro. And so if it were to be the 5 and 3 on here, then you would just kind of flop it, and we're still having that linebacker still has his hands, or still the quarterback still has his eyes on that play side linebacker since he's already reading that concept side. So that's what we're doing with our mesh. So then if we go, but then our favorite variation that we'll do off of that, we'll go trips. And we love going mesh post wheel. So what we'll do is we'll indicate who has it. Since we have trips on this side, the running back knows that he's on the back side. All right, and then the X knows because he's part of the mesh, he's got to cut his split, and we'll have H as our mesher again. So then just going through it, H knows that he's setting it at 6 and getting across. X is underneath, getting across, and now speaking to the post wheel, Z is running to 10, and then his post, and he's never crossing the hash that he's lined up at. And our Y is going to run like he's running an out into a wheel. Sorry about that. Into a wheel to try and get one of these guys to trigger and think that they're just trying to take a flat, and then he's going to go straight down the sidelines. All right, and then our running back will run that infamous rail route into a wheel, which we hit a couple times, which I'll show on film. So both of our slots will work mesh every day. Every Wednesday we work at 10 minutes. And our Z and X will also get into it. And then we always try to keep it simple with our mesh. We also have a couple other versions. But what we do is if people are trying to take away mesh, then we'll hit them with shallow cross with that deep dig. So that's our mesh concept right now, as if we were installing it. Any questions yet, Coach, before I go to the film?
No, I love it, and I love the details. You know, your 2x2 looks a lot like the way Leach used to do it, and
Yes,
but with the little details of them looking at the opposite linebacker and talking to each other, I thought are fantastic.
Yeah, and then that actually just reminds me, sorry, Coach, I forgot some kind of important details. So I'm gonna go back to our spread because that was on me. I made a mistake. One thing that I did not talk about was what happens with zone defenses, and that's on me. So if they are playing zone, and let's just say that the linebackers are dropping out, all right. What we teach our guys is that they have to cross or they have to mesh and they have to cross center, but then their eyes are taking a look, and then they need to stop anywhere between the center to that hash, and they're going to show the quarterback their hands. And what we teach our quarterback to do is to throw them on the shoulder that there's no defender. So like right here, if our Y sat down right here and showed hands, we're going to try and throw it to his inside shoulder so that he can turn up and go. And then the other thing that we'll do, since we have our outs, is that if we see that for some reason they're vacating this area over here, we'll get on film after the drive and we'll say, hey, when we're running the mesh, instead of you guys flattening it out, how about you just take it up? And we'll have them turn up, and then they'll settle in that grass right there. Because naturally, if they're playing a cover 4, that's where, because we get a lot of cover 4 and drop 8, that's where the opening will be. So we'll have them expand up to find grass. You know, because I love like the Mike Leach, and you know that's great that the coaches know the coverage, but I try to teach our quarterback, all right, where's the grass? And so that's kind of what we teach them, and that's why we had them the first read is that out, and then we have that running back, because if that corner's dropping out, there's nobody in the flats. So that we have, you know, we believe in our running backs catching a lot of balls. You know, they tied for second and third for the amount of percentage touches in our offense when breaking it down. And then we'll have, you know, our mesh. So my apologies, Coach, on, you know, that's a big part on mesh is explain what happens when they play, you know, a zone. So they'll sit down once they cross the mesh, show hands to the quarterback, and he'll get it to them. And if the linebackers are just going to sit here, then we tell them that they can either keep running or they can expand up if that safety is staying deep. And there's a natural hole right there because of these corners would be taking away the outs. So it's pretty much they can sit or they're going to expand up, or and if everybody's playing drop 8 like we see a lot, we tell them just to keep running straight, and the quarterback will find you. So now I'm going to go into our huddle and show a little bit of our film. Oh, let's see. There we go. So our first one that I'm going to show how what it should look like when it's a pretty mesh. And don't judge us that it was a cold, shaky night in the playoff game, but this is our last game of the year. Unfortunately, we lost in the playoffs. And this entire drive we ran mesh down the field. But this is one of the best that we did, and we'll go spread tight, which just cuts our splits down for everybody. And so we'll have our mesh, and so this is where we'll kind of rub. We'll rub, and our receiver here went a little too deep. Like I said, this was his first game running mesh, but as you can see, we get a little bit of a rub there, and then the linebackers run into each other right here, and now we got 3 guys on 1, and so then we tell our guys to put their hand up to help our quarterback a little bit because he didn't like the middle of the field, and so now a little mesh, and now it's a nice little 6-yard throw, and now you're one-on-one with a safety. So that's how it should look like on the inside when it comes to the mesh. And then if you take a look on the outs, so we had this all night, and we did take it a lot, but I actually like the outs right here because if you take a look, the linebackers coming up on the running back, and if we sit and deliver this ball right here, that could have been another one-on-one opportunity as well. So we're happy about how mesh looked that night. And then here we go. This is on our normal spread. So as you can tell now, we don't have our outside receivers condensed as much. And you'll see that our mesh is a lot better this time. So he's running on his feet, and then they settle once they saw that they dropped. And once his eyes saw that they took away him, our guy was able to be wide open. And he was a dum-dum and tried to hurdle. But if you take a look back at it, we had the outs all night. So this is why we run this. Because if you work on your rhythm and throw, look on the outs on both sides. They're almost 5 yards off. You throw this ball, that's an easy catch. That's an easy catch. But our quarterback, so what we saw was they were trying to read our mesh all night long, and we just were open. So I told them, hey, just let the mesh develop. We didn't have to worry about any pressure. We had good protection, and we were able to do a very good job with our mesh. And then you just catch and go. All right, so here it is in like week 4 or 5. So we're kind of tight again. So we're gonna go out, mesh, and swing. You got your mesh and you have your out. And Coach Salas, you won't believe me, but this is what we saw a lot. We saw like 8 guys. They were worried about our mesh, worried about our shallow cross, worried about our run game. I mean, this is what we saw in the box a lot. So that's why we worked on that out a lot. But here it is. He could have easily have thrown this out because the linebacker's eyes are on the running back. Could have easily have hit that. He was feeling pressure. I think that this is still a very good pocket. But what I like about mesh is that it naturally comes and now you're kind of flooding the field on a rollout. And once again, the ball probably should be delivered. I mean, they're both wide open. But we catch it, and it's nice, easy, catch and run. So here we are. This is one of our last games of the year as well. And this is where we're going to hit our rhythm out. And it's super easy. Boom. Nice little cut. He's playing inside leverage. He's dead to rights in us based on the hips. And he's open as well. A nice easy throw to the sideline. And you make people miss. And they called him out of bounds. Here we are against Northmore, a really good defense. And so what we liked, and we hit the outs a lot against them, was they're taking away the middle of the field. And it's wherever Gus went, there was about 3 guys that followed. And here they are playing cover 3. So we kind of cut our outs based on how they're dropping. We cut them down a little bit, but this is a nice, easy rhythm throw. Boom, right out of his cut because they were dropping so much, and it was a nice, easy little first down. And then teams that we see that they're not blitzing, we'll keep our running back in and try to just hit that rhythm out. If the quarterback tells him, hey, I'm going to hit that out, we'll actually have the running back stay in and protect his backside sometimes. It's just an in-game adjustment. So this is once again just showing the out, because now this is against the most athletic team we've faced. This is against Cummings. And because of their alignment and how they turn, there's no way that he's going to be able to sink his hips and turn on that out. And so we practiced it all night. And that's a guy that didn't join us until week 5 of the season. But as you could tell in a big time game, he hits that out because we work it so much that the quarterback is literally delivering the ball before he's even out of his cut. And you get a nice, easy 10 yards there. Here we are running mesh post wheel down in the red zone. And what this will be, because we're down at that 10, is it's going to become, almost like a deep slant, like a glance. All right. And so we run a lot of snag as well. So this week, what we really worked on is we wanted to sell like we're running snag. And so we made it look like it was running snag. So he has this out, and you'll see the wheel ends up becoming wide open here in the back of the corner, but then our post is wide open as well. And so here's our mesh post wheel down in the red zone. And this ball should be delivered right now. And nice, easy touchdown. But as you could tell, they were worried about the quarterback running, and we could have thrown this wheel as well. Our mesh, if he wasn't getting pressured, he probably would have thrown it, because right here they sit down, and this is a beautiful look at it. That's how it should look. Because and what I love is that they don't know where the quarterback's at right now, because they're watching the middle of the field, and he sits, but then when he takes a look, we tell him to expand up, and both meshes would have been wide open, and we hit him with a nice little post. Here's a look at us hitting the slot again in mesh. Expands out with the running back. They take away the out. Sorry, post at the top. We tag post on this. We're running mesh post wheel out of spread here. So how we do that is he's got the post, and he's going to run the wheel, and we have our mesh here, and then we actually have him keep on his out. So we just have a post and an out, and then he's running the wheel out here, which he could have easily have thrown that. Oh, sorry about that. He could have thrown that, and now we have room to run. And this is a nice look at what it would look like expanding up. He could have thrown that. So if you take a look, a lot of the film that I've shown, we had answers. It wasn't just like one guy was open. All right. And it's so much frustration. We're getting the coach a little mad as well, because we kept hitting mesh. So that's always fun to do, because it will aggravate defensive coaches a lot. Here's a good look at us kind of settling down with our mesh. Number one, okay, he kind of throttles down. I would like for him to sit a little bit more, but if you take a look, because that's where we set it, I know if you take a look, people are gonna be like, oh, well, your guy running the backs or running the mesh on the front side, he ends up being wide open. Yeah, I know that, but we want to keep it easy on our quarterback, and it goes 1 to 2 to 3. So this was the best look, even though, yes, he is wide open. We would want to hit that for maybe a possible bigger play, but the quarterback we keep his progressions. Where does he see grass? The mesh is open, and so he hits it to him. And then here's a little wrinkle that we'll run down in the red zone as well. It's kind of a mesh traffic. We'll go mesh through the middle, and then he will try to draw him in and then run his out. And then we'll run a swing or run an arrow, and he'll kind of sit right there on the goal line. And he should have thrown, he was wide open. Probably should have thrown this right now. Quarterback is feeling a little bit of pressure. So he steps up and delivers, and that's our 2-point conversion. All right, here we go. Here is our mesh post wheel. So what we have here is it's going to be a mesh post wheel with the rail. So there, out, and then mesh is, and it's really good at a 3-by-1, because if this corner takes any steps inside, and he almost kind of picks his own defender, and then we're down the sidelines for a big play. That was a big time play against Southeast Alamance. So we'll kind of go back to that. What we do on mesh post wheel is, if we see that the safety, like right here, is everybody's on that side, taking away our trips into the field side, this will become our number one read. Our rail becomes our number one read. And as soon as if he does not like it at all, he'll come back to our normal mesh side, because then it'll go post, wheel, and then this mesh or the underneath mesh. And so he saw that they only kept one guy, and he didn't stay out there. He kept going in with the receiver. And so we took that shot, because our running back's a pretty fast kid. And we just wanted to get him out in space. All right, so here we are again. This is about, I think, halfway through the season. And so we're doing the same thing here. Trips into the field. We're testing to see how they are with a running back coming out of the backfield. And so you'll see the corner goes with them. Linebackers are worried about our tight end. And nobody gets the running back. And if you take a look, both wheels are actually wide open. So quarterback had his pick of where to go. But, you know, the thing that we practice a lot is we do our snag wheel. So we do that 2-man game on snag, on the snag wheel. And so that's why we also like to run that 3-by-1 with the mesh post wheel. This next year, I really want to work on mesh being used a little bit more. This past year, we were 26 of 41 for like 675 yards and 7 touchdowns, 13 explosives, no interceptions, and I think maybe 1 sack. So mesh was very beneficial for us. It was that and 4 verts were our main drop back passes. And we felt like it complemented our guys. We have a lot of basketball players. So when we started talking to them about the pick and the rub and then finding the green grass, it really worked out. And you just kind of you got to know what's good for your kids and how to express it to them. But you know, the one thing I always tell people, if you want to be really good at mesh, you have to invest a lot of time into it. You got to explain the routes. You got to work the mesh drill. You got to work settle noose drill. It's not something that you just throw in there in a playbook. You know, you really have to invest into mesh, and we take pride in it. And as you can tell, you know, we about half the times we hit mesh, it was for you know, 15, 20 plus yards because of what it does to defense. So yeah, that's how we do mesh, and you know, hoping we're getting better at it. And yeah, coach, I run it a lot like the Mike Leach way, but we also do run it. This next year we're going to run it with corners as well out of trips. But yeah, yes sir. That's what we do with mesh.
Well, fantastic details and obviously fantastic numbers. That's the explosive play. I always think of mesh as a chain mover, but you were hitting big time plays out of it, and I really love your attention to detail on coaching up the little things, the angle of the mesh, and getting eyes on the other guy and communicating with each other. So fantastic job, man. Tell us a little bit about the channel. How long ago did you start it?
Oh, coach, I think I started it the end of January. We had about a week of no kids in the school, bunch of professional development time, and my wife was just like, "Hey, why don't you just, you know, because she does UGC and does stuff online, and she was like, why don't you start a YouTube channel? You love talking football, you know." She was like, "I think you have a lot of knowledge," which she might be the only one in the world that thinks that, but I was like, you know what, I want to share it. And so she kind of got me into it, and it's taken off. You know, I think we're, you know, 6 weeks into it. She helps me a lot. You know, all I do is get up there and talk, and she makes me look good and puts it all together. But it's fun. And I just love talking ball. You know, you know, here it gets being a 2A school. A lot of our kids we don't have a lot of our kids in the weight room during the day, but we do it after school. And And then a lot of them are in the basketball program that's really good. So I just want to talk ball and just be able to continue to get better so that when it is spring ball time, it'll help me be a lot better of a communicator and clear and concise with them. And so it's just something I was doing to try and get better. And we talk about the power raid, which the offense we run, which is mixing a power downhill run game with the air raid principles and philosophy. Because I just love the air raid and love Mike Leach, and that's the guy that I studied a lot under, and now I really focus a lot with Phil Longo and Lincoln Riley, and those type of guys, because it's fun. Kids love it, and I hate saying that's basketball on grass because people that use that term ends up not working out so much for them. But we're not a finesse team. We want to run you over as well. We end up having almost 5,000 yards, so we can run the ball as well. And we try to utilize everybody in our offense. 12 guys touch the ball. But yeah, so I talk about the air raid principles, and I just did a Buck Sweep video that's going to get uploaded here soon. And so that's what I do on the channel. And then my shorts, I just talk about all kinds of different things. Just want to talk football and want to be able to share any type of knowledge I could possibly help anybody else out that, I mean, I'm only 11 years in and I'm learning every day, but I just feel like it's the least I could do is give back to the coaching fraternity and the brotherhood that I feel blessed and lucky to be a part of, because it's given me so much in my life.
Well, you're an excellent teacher, and what's been the what video has gotten the most views so far? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, it's been Snag. Snag has taken off. I think a lot of that is it doesn't get as much of attention as you would think it would in the air raid. But yeah, it took off, and I think a lot of it is everybody wants to run slants, but slants can be pretty dangerous. Quarterback trying to force it in there, where now you kind of give that option to sit behind an outside backer, and a lot of us, I like to run out of 3-by-1, and when they think that a bubble's coming in and that outside guy's just coming to crack them, they just fly out there, and now you're just sitting behind an open space. And so yeah, Snag has taken off. Mesh and Shallow Cross have done really well as what also. So yeah,
Well,
I
I've
was shocked
subscribed
by
to
that.
it. I subscribed to it, and I've started catching your shorts also. So that was pretty neat. I haven't figured out how to do those. I tried one time and couldn't figure it out. But I've been catching. It's been feeding me your shorts, so I've been seeing those. And man, I think you're doing a great job. You're an excellent teacher. Your details are fantastic, and your channel looks super good. So we're going to encourage everyone to check it out and subscribe and share and like and do all that stuff. I'll have the link to the channel in the show notes so they can get to it. But definitely everyone needs to check it out because you do a great job, buddy, and I appreciate you coming on tonight.